Hello, my name is Ivan. Welcome to the Galen Framework video tutorials. This is the second tutorial, and here I'm going to show you how to write a page specification and how to get started with layout testing for a responsive website. So let's take this website, test.galenframework.com, and let's try to test it. So for now we will just focus on the header and the menu element. First of all, let's try to find out what are we going to test. So the first thing that I see already on this website, all the content on it is centered on the screen. So if I resize the browser, then I see that this content is always located in the center. And another thing that I noticed that the header text, a sample website for Galen Framework desktop has this text, and then the text changes to just sample website to fit on the screen. So let's think about all of this thing and let's try to test it. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to describe the objects that we're going to work with. And let's start with a header. So the header in our case is going to be this element, middle wrapper, so that we can test that it's centered on the page. So I don't have anything here and my folder is empty. I will create a file, homepage.gspec. Now I'm going to declare an object. My object header is going to be header middle wrapper, and the menu is going to be also middle wrapper menu. Okay. Menu, middle wrapper. So what we can do now is we can check that on desktop the header is centered, the menu and header are centered horizontally in a screen, and that on mobile layout they are just stretched. First of all, I'm going to declare a section called header, because in this section I will list all the elements that are related to the header. And now the interesting part. I'm going to split the validations per two tags, the desktop and mobile. So that's why I'm going to write like this: on desktop it is centered horizontally inside screen. So this centered horizontally inside screen, you can find the spec on the galenframework.com website on the docs Galen Specs Language Guide. Let's search for centered. So this is a basic syntax. Centered horizontally inside, and then you put an element. In our case, we don't have the screen element declared on our page, but that is because the screen element is the default. It comes out of the box from Galen, and that represents the complete screen, like all the area, like the body element of your website. There's also a viewport element, which only represents the visible area. But we need a screen. Or actually, we can also use a viewport in this case. It doesn't really matter. And on mobile, it is inside screen, 0 pixels, left, right. And now let's check the menu. Oh, and another thing, we can also test that the header has a height of 69 pixels. Let's put it approximately 69 pixels. And now I can also declare the menu validations. Menu It is located below header by 0 pixels, so there's no margin at all. And what else we can test? And we can also check the height, but let's just leave it. And another thing, of course, an interesting trick. So as I said in the beginning, that we are going to test the header and menu are centered horizontally on the screen. But because we already have checked the header, we don't need to do the same thing for menu. We don't have to repeat this on desktop or mobile. We can actually just bind our validations, aligned horizontally, binds to a header. Oh, forgot the all word, because I need to use all edges. In Galen Framework, I can actually check alignment only by left edge or by right edge, and also I can check both edges. So it's all aligned horizontally, all with header. So what this means, that whenever we choose validation for desktop, the menu will always check that it is aligned with header. So this is an interesting trick. This way we can write less validations, but we will still have a complete coverage, which is very interesting. So that is enough. Let's just quickly test our specs. Galen check homepage, and then I define the URL, a size, the report folder, and what tag are we going to include in this case, and it's going to be desktop. We have a failure. Interesting. Unknown spec. Typo. Okay, let's test it. Header is not aligned horizontally all with menu. Of course it's not. I forgot. I used the wrong alignment. It's not horizontally, it's actually aligned vertically. So I need to change that. Homepage.spec, aligned vertically all. Our test is passed. Let's try to add some more complex validations. So now we have only two objects, header and menu. Let's add the validations for logo and a text. First of all, we need to declare the logo. And what we can do here is also an interesting trick. We can nest our logo object below the header element by doing the indentation in this case. It will look like this: header, logo, and then we only need to reference this image. So we can do it like this: image. And we're going to do the same for the text. Well, let's say caption. Caption is just H1 tag. So at this point we have four objects: header, header logo, header caption, and menu. So now let's validate the logo. This is how we're going to reference it. You need to use a dot. So you type a header dot logo. This way you reference the logo object. If you will just type logo, then it will not work. You need to type the full name to it, because what happens in this case, Galen Framework first finds this object we're using this locator, and then inside that object it will search for a logo and caption. So it will build a chain of locators. And let's type it like this. Oops. Header logo. What we can check in this case. So on both desktop and mobile, it is located on the left side, inside the header on the left side. So let's test that. Header logo. Inside header, 0 pixels left and 8 to 15 pixels top bottom. So this way I checked that it is 0 pixels from the left side and then from 8 to 15 pixels top bottom. And then the other thing that we're going to check, it's width and height. Width 48 pixels, height 48 pixels. Okay, next thing, header text. Header text. What we can check is the header text is located from the right side. So we use right off. Again, all of these specs you can find on the documentation page. Here, spec reference, left off and right off. Right off header logo, and I already know that it has a 22 pixel distance because I have checked it already, so I will just type it's approximately 22 pixels. And next thing that we are going to check, it's the text. Sample website for Galen framework. But because it's different on mobile and desktop, we are going to use text. On desktop, text is this, and on mobile, text is sample website. Now let's run the test. Cannot find locator header text. Oh yeah, because I used caption, not text. So let's change caption. That's enough. Okay, it's plus. We can actually open the report and take a look at what are we testing here. Home page, expand. The header is centered horizontally inside screen. You can see it here. So we check the header, header logo, caption, and menu. And now let's go for a more complex part of this page. It's the menu. So what you see here is 4 elements in the menu: home, my notes, about, contact, and who knows, maybe we will add more elements in the future. So because the menu could be dynamic and we want to be more flexible, we don't want to declare each object separately. What we can do in this case, we can declare multiple objects. You can go to the documentation, multiple objects definition. Here's the example. You just need to put a star in the element name. This is what we are going to do. So here, inside the menu element, I'll declare item dash star li. So in this case, I will match all the menu items. What Galen will do, it will create menu.item1, menu.item2, and etc. It will create references for all the 4 elements. And now let's think about it. What we can test on this page. So first of all, you see, almost always you can check the width and height. But because the text is different, we can just check, do something like this: menu.item star width, because we don't know, because the width is dynamic, so we can just say it should be bigger than 30 pixels, and the height should be 64 pixels. So we say around 64 pixels. So in this case, we match all the 4 elements and we apply the validations for width and height. But now, let's say that on desktop, we want to check that all the elements are aligned horizontally and they're located near each other. For this matter, we will have to use the for loops. So first, let's do it on desktop. Oops. Desktop. Menu item. Okay, so we can move this one up. So menu item 1 is always located on the left inside menu, 0 pixels left. And so on desktop, we are going to iterate for 1, 2, 3 this index. And what we are going to test in this case, we will check that the first element is located from the left side of second element, the second element is located from the left side of third element, and the third is from the left side of fourth element. And since we don't type all of this in our spec, we can just create that by using the for loops. Menu item dash, and this is how I'm going to use the JavaScript expressions. Index, and inside it we'll check left of menu item index plus 1, 0 pixels. And also we'll check that it's aligned horizontally with that next element. Let's try it out. Okay, we have an error. Menu item 1 is 4 pixels left of menu item 2 instead of 0 pixels. Okay, that's interesting. So we have a little margin. You see that? Between the menu items. So let's declare that. Actually, we don't really care about that margin. We only care that it's not very big. So this is what we're going to change. Instead of 0 pixels, we'll say to 0 to 5 pixels. So 5 pixels. So in this case, we just don't care. We declare that 5 pixels distance is enough, but if it's 6 pixels or greater, it's gonna fail. And again, let's check it. Now I will show you some trick. This doesn't look that readable anymore. The way we can change this for loop is we can turn it like this. You can say for each, and instead of giving a range of 1 to 3 elements, we can actually give an expression menu item star. So we'll match all 4 elements. The variable that we are going to use is called menu item, and we also want to match the next element. So next as next menu item. So in this for each loop, I declared 2 variables, and because I also declared the next element, it will only iterate over 3 objects instead of 4. This is the way it is implemented in Galen. If I remove this definition of next, it will iterate over all 4 elements. So here we changed like this. Menu item column. Left off, so we don't need this. Next menu item. And same here. Next menu item. So now this expression reads a little bit better. For each menu item star as menu item, and we check that the menu item is left of next menu item. Let's Let's run the test. And it is passed. Let's also open the report and see what kind of specs it has generated. Expand all. Menu. As you can see, we have two sections here, header and menu. Menu item 1, left of menu item 2 by 0 to 5 pixels. If we click it, we will see it on a screenshot. And 3, left of menu item 4. And menu item 4, we only check the width and height because Galen didn't iterate over it. Now, let's write the validations for the mobile layout. And in mobile layout, as you can see, the layout changed into this table representation. Also, you might notice this little margin from the right side on the menu. So we need to take that into account as well. So on mobile, what we're going to type is for 1 and 2 as I. Okay, so this is what we can do. We can actually iterate for 1 and 2, so this first one, second one, and we can check that they are above the third one and fourth. And also we can check that they are aligned vertically. Yes. Above menu.item I plus 2 by 0 pixels, and it's aligned vertically. All menu.item I plus 2. To be honest, in this case it doesn't look that readable, but it's really hard to write the specs for this kind of layout. But in next videos I will show you how to use custom rules, which will again bring more readability to your spec files. And then for 1 and 3 SI. Notice this. Here we use comma and here we use a dash. Well, actually we don't need dash in this case because it's just only 1 and 2, so we can use comma. Let's copy this. No, it's not going to work out. So menu item 1 and 3 should be located from the left side of 2 and 4. Left of menu.item I plus 1. 0 pixels. And it's aligned horizontally all with menu I plus 1. Now let's run the validations for mobile layout. Include mobile, and let's change the size to 500 pixels. Okay, so menu item is 4 pixels. Oh yeah, they don't have a 0 pixel margin, I forgot. To 5. Nice, now the test is passed. Let's take a look at what we have in here. Menu item 1 is above menu item 3 and it's left of menu item 2. It's a lot of checks in here. So I think this is enough for this tutorial. And the next tutorial I will show you how to create a test suite where you can parameterize different sizes for your browser. And then you can run multiple tests for different sizes and you can check different layouts. This is not a really nice way to run a test. Galen check command is just to run a quick test, just to check your spec file. But more interesting part will be in a test suite. And for this tutorial I think this is enough. Thanks for watching.